Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Well, hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle from A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. So if you're not already familiar with us, that's okay. There's still time to catch up. So this is the web series where we talk real talk about things in education, employment, social services, physical health, mental health, or anything else that is steamy. And today we are going to talk about Discourse Community. And I have a repeat guest, fourth time repeat, fourth or fifth, I think I lost count. But we have a repeat guest with us today who's going to help us with that discussion. Her name is Robin Simpson. So if you're not already familiar with her, I'm going to remind you about who she is. So, who is Robin Simpson? Get my little banner here. So, Robin Renee Simpson received her associates in human services from the New York College of Technology and her bachelor's from Metropolitan College. Currently, she's pursuing her master's degree in childhood and childhood special education, birth to second grade at St. John's University, so fellow St. John's alum. In addition to that, she's a residential family group daycare owner and a master life coach. In the fall, she'll partner with us to provide group tutoring for grades 1 through 5. Her interests are social justice in education and twice exceptional students. So I'm going to bring Robin to the stage right now. Hi, Robin. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me again.
Yes.
I'm becoming a rethread.
Yes, you're becoming very popular.
Yes. Because there's so many areas in social justice that are not being discussed. So by, as I'm, coming in contact with them, I feel like the town crier where there's a state of urgency, to get it out, because as I'm speaking and sharing, things are changing just as quick. So thank you for having me. And thank you for having this platform to discuss real topics.
Absolutely. All right. So you know the deal. I'm
Yes,
going to let you jump right on in.
thank you. So today's topic is discourse community. And this is a discussion that was held in class. And when I first read it, it shocked my conscience, because what it says is that, okay, so discourse community is where a group of people share a set of discourses. It's understood as a basic value and assumption, and a way of communication of goals. So this discourse community is intentionally designed for a group of people to discuss their values. So you already know it can be inclusive or not. And to make an example very clear of what a discourse community could look like.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa Welcome Bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And I think I probably mentioned it before in one of our other series, but I'll just restate it again. Education is different in New York City as opposed to New York State. So let's look at Nassau and Suffolk County in terms of education and how it's designed. So in Nassau and Suffolk County, they have these discourse community where they sit down with the school board, and the discourse community, whose values are in common, say to the school board, this is what we want you to educate our children with. The board takes it in consideration, and of course, a lot of negotiation is taking place. In the city, there basically isn't a discourse community. So whenever the Board of Education come in and say, this is the curriculum that we are going to teach, that's what is brought into the schools. Now, with that being said, the taxes that residents from Nassau and Suffolk, they pay into the school system. And even though in the city it's the same that we are paying into the system, is not identified as taxpayers, homeowners buying into the Board of Education, because it's public school. Public school is free. So that's the value that is being expressed in the city. Whereas in Nassau and Suffolk County, the schools are funded through home ownership. Same deal, but the semantics is different. And one of the issues that I have with that is the curriculums that is brought into the New York City public schools are curriculums that have been tested out in the Midwest. And out of the Midwest is not conducive to how New York City students live. So there's a gap that's being created whereby it's harder for children to learn. So in Nassau and Suffolk, they're building their curriculum towards their children being tracked for Ivy League schools. And in the schools in New York City, our discourse community, so to speak, is unintentional. And our kids, as we talked about suffer the zero tolerance in school, school pipeline to prison, twice exceptional children, because there isn't an interference to say that we don't want this curriculum in our school. So once the discourse community have established their goals, that's how it operates. And in the African American community, communities of color, communities that are marginalized, we are unaware of this discourse community. And so generally what happens when parents take their children to school is under the assumption that these educators are the professionals, so they know best. But 9 times out of 10, our curriculum, their curriculum, doesn't match our children's curriculum. And therefore, there's a lot of how should I say, misunderstanding as to the purpose of what education look like. For example, I have children that come into daycare that are not able to do their homework. Research show that, it's not productive to give them a sheet, a copy of a homework sheet to come home and do work, but yet it's being done, even though evidence says that that's non-productive, but it's being done every day because there is no discourse community to say, based on the evidence, it is inappropriate for you to give our children a homework sheet. It has no relationship, it's not meaningful, so therefore the child is going to lose interest in their work. So each discourse community has its own unwritten rules about what can be said and how it can be said. So in being a part of the platform in the New York City school, you have the PTA. There is a greater need for people of the community to be able to sit at that discourse community table and advocate for children of color, African American children, and in marginalized situations. It's intangible. The discourse community is nothing that you can see. It just takes place day by day by day. And in that happening, the educational system is crumbling. So the discourse community started around 1982, and it was developed for scholars in the academic world. And so it is based upon the setting of a lingo where everyone comes in, they get familiar with the terms, and they begin to speak to each other in that particular language. So can you imagine what happens if you're not in that discourse community? You're not going to understand what is being said. So that those conversations will go over your head. And this is what is happening today in the Board of Education. As I said, parents are not able to help their children do homework because they've changed the system in terms of how to help your children do their work. And there's no discussion from the school to the parent. So a discourse community is agreed that they have common public goals, and it has a mechanism of intercommunication among its members. So here again, the members, they have their lingo that they're talking to each other about, and it provides information and feedback on exactly what it is that this discourse community is trying to convey. So say, for example, that school in Nassau and Suffolk County, if the parents are not happy, then they are immediately going to go to the school board and have a conversation. Here in the city, you're just going to have people, parents, some parents grumbling and complaining. And what happens in the system is that parents are being sent different places until they become frustrated and they give up. So it limits the amount of communication outside of this discourse community. It utilizes and possesses more than one way of communication to reach its aims. So depending on who's in this discourse community, that affects, how shall I say, it affects the community as a whole. You may have politicians, you may have doctors, you may have lawyers who are very powerful in itself in society. Now that they come into the discourse community, they begin to hold weight, because what happens? Now the school board becomes intimidated, because with the extra funding that could go into the projects that this discourse community want to see, they will generally give in and give the parents what they want, because they are willing to to accommodate the parents, as opposed to the New York City public school. There's no discourse community. The most I would say the most diverse community in the public school is the PTA.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa Welcome Bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And over the years, the participation, excuse me, in the PTA has declined. So with that being said, it's very limited. In the discourse community, there's a threshold of the level of members that is suitable to agree. So generally, you're not going to have someone that's going to be the minority in this discourse community. And even if that's the case, they're not really going to go against the grain, because this discourse community is moving as a group of people, and they can be very strong. So with history of the discourse community, the power of the discourse community, the institutional hierarchy in the discourse community is very powerful to advocate for their children. So when I was in this class and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at how the difference in education across the United States is not universal, right? So in it not being universal, our children in marginalized communities are being set up to fail. It is imperative that parents become a part of a discourse community. How do you get that started? It just takes a matter of, number one, believing that everyone may not agree with the value, but at least there is a value whereby you can have a forum to discuss what you want your child to learn in school, as opposed to the school board saying this is what they want the children to learn, because it's our tax dollars. I don't understand how our tax dollars is separate in the public school system, and then you can go on the island, and it's very much that, you know, people will buy into a community because that neighborhood has a high rating, because homeowners are paying a high amount of tax. So it really makes a huge difference as to where you're at, in terms of finding the most valuable education. So in that, traditions are being set in this discourse community. So say, for example, you know, the parents, the kids graduate, there's another set of of members of the community coming into this discourse and sharing their values and principles. So it does not die down. If anything, it gets stronger, because you have this this invisible entity that speaks volumes to another institution. Whereas in our community, our institution is built on racism. You know, you're not entitled, so we're going to give you a less than education. We're going to give you an education that's based on a region of the United States that does not apply to where we are living at today. So the standards in the discourse community, it cannot be challenged. And it requires understanding and expectations of that particular community. If, you know, if teachers didn't feel as though their jobs would be threatened, that would be a perfect place to start, you know, a discourse community where, you know, teachers can really educate parents and let them know what's actually going on inside the school. But because of, you know, how should I say, straddling the fence, you know, it's business as usual. And a teacher will go into the school system saying that I'm going to give these children the best that I can, but it's not unilateral across the board, because everyone, the teachers are not, they're basically not on the same page, especially if you're having teachers that are coming into New York City educational system just to get the experience to go back on the island and work. So even in that arena, it would be very difficult to establish an intentional discourse community. So that's one of the, you know, major issues that I just feel like, you know, our kids is at a disadvantage. Coming up with mission statements is another way that, you know, we can try to create a discourse community where we can begin to have values and principles that will help our children move forward in this time where we're actually going through an educational crisis in the United States. So, for lack of better words, is what do we as an African American marginalized community of color, what do we say to institutions about our education? You know, and I think that based on that assumption, because we are not displaying ourselves with unity, it's almost as if there's a permission slip to do whatever, you know, the district want to give our schools. And when that happens, you know, everyone is scrambling. And I'm still looking at statistics that, you know, 60% of children leaving elementary school cannot read and write, you know. So that message across the board is not really being presented to us So if it's not being presented to us, we're not aware of the discourse community. Whereas on the island, it's a given that yes, this is what we are intentionally doing. So I'm urging, here's my PSA, my public service announcement, is that our educational system does give us the permission to be able to come up with our own ideas, our own visions, our own insights as to what we think our children could benefit from. And somehow coming together and putting a platform in place whereby it can be expressed, and having parents to be truly, truly, truly interested in what is going on in the schools, like really having like serious conversations where you're just letting your hair down and being able to share your concerns without the fear of retribution, because our children are falling by the wayside. And now that we're getting more of influx of diverse communities, some cultures really, benefit from saying education is first. So not only are they just participating in school during the day, when they come home, one little girl told me yesterday, I'm not allowed to watch TV. I'm not allowed to be on social media. I have my work to do. So that's that one community. Whereas in another community, the parent can easily say, well, do you have homework? And the child says no. And it's like, okay. And the child has homework. So before we can really get to this level of discourse community, it would benefit us if we were able to kind of revisit our own values and come to the conclusion of saying, this is what I want for my child, and then branching out and being able to network to create this discourse community. And once that discourse community is established, I can envision now our children getting a much better education, because the superintendent and the district offices now are going to be more aware of giving our children work that they can have access to, that will release their intrinsic ability, that will open up their mind, that they will want to learn, instead of by the time they reach the 4th grade, they're not interested in school anymore. So we have a lot of work to do. So with that, I yield my time, and I would like to hear from you. Thank you.
You said a mouthful. We may have to wrap this up. So there's not really much to add, but I guess one of the things that you brought up was about the property taxes in Long Island as opposed to the city. And I know this is specific to New York, but I assume it's a nationwide issue, the difference between city and suburbia. So what I got from what you were saying is money talks, right? Because people on Long Island, they're paying property taxes, which are going into the schools, as opposed to people in New York City. They're not putting in their property taxes.
That's the difference. When I pay my tax, it is going into the educational system, but it's not expressed in that manner that I have the accountability or the ownership to say that this is what I want and what I don't want. But on the island, it's very clear. It's very clear.
Very clear how? Like how is it expressed? How do people on the island know?
So Roslyn is, I believe, one of the highest property tax in Nassau County. So those schools are like private, they're like private entities, right? So they have a higher standard up in Roslyn, as opposed to being in Hollis, and I pay my taxes. No one discuss, where my money goes. I'm just paying my property tax. But in Roslyn, it's clear that out of my property tax, X amount of dollars is going towards the educational system.
So I guess I'm still trying to understand. So when you say it's clear, is it written down? Like how do residents of Roslyn know that their taxes are going into the schools?
Because this is written down. It's established. So so as I was saying, the community discourse is intangible, right? But it's the participants of that community that's going to go and meet with the Board of Education, and they're going to have a discussion as to what kind of curriculum they want their children to have. So it's discussed, whereas in the city it's not discussed. If they say, okay, we're going to start the core curriculum, the core curriculum is given like 5 minutes before they have to teach it. Teachers are scrambling to try to present, and then as they're presenting, they're realizing that this curriculum does not match the children. But on the island,
how to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
We know that we're giving you X amount of dollars, right? And this is what our expectation is. So that's basically how it works. It's very unfair. Very unfair.
Well, I imagine too, on the island, it's probably less schools compared to the number of schools in the city. So more of the money is able to be spread out more because there's less schools compared to the city. So I'm wondering if you think that has anything to do with it, the actual setup of Long Island as compared to the city.
Well, here's the deal. The money that is, they're also getting federal money as well too, right? So you're getting property taxes and you're getting federal money for your educational system. So in the city, it's the same thing, but where does our money go? And even more importantly, we also have what they call Title I, where we're getting extra money to educate our students because they say, children in marginalized neighborhoods may not have. So we're going to make sure that they have breakfast. We're going to make sure we have, all these different programs in place to ensure that the children is safe. But we have no choice over those matters. And the principal is given a budget where he can allocate certain monies based on, whatever, wherever he or she feel that there's a need, not based on what the parents are saying, right? Because I'm almost sure that a lot of parents would want to see tutoring, would want to see after school programs, because a lot of parents have to work during the daytime, So it's one of those things whereby, where is the money in the city going, right? And how come we don't have a platform where a discourse community where we can discuss, the allocation of these funds? So it's the same thing, the federal and our property tax. And if it's the case we're on the island that there's less and the city have more houses, then the money should just about equal out. What you think?
I think that's fair, because the property tax comes from homes, right? So if there's more homes on Long Island, that's more property taxes, as opposed to less homes in the city, maybe less homes, more apartments. I could see there being a financial discrepancy there.
Right.
So with that being said, I guess my question to you is, because there's, before I ask that, so you're saying the property tax is the same in terms of what the schools are getting compared to the two places?
No, property tax is more on Long Island, far more, right? And this is one place in Westbury. The property tax for a ranch in Westbury is like $40,000 a year. That's tax alone, right? That's not, I'm assuming that this mortgage has been paid, but every year they would have to pay $40,000. Within that $40,000, there's a certain amount that's going towards infrastructure, schools, firemen, right? Because the police, no, let me reverse that. On the island, firemen is voluntary. So in the city, firemen get paid. On the island, it's voluntary. So here again, that's even more money being poured into the educational system because they don't have to pay their firemen, right? But I'm thinking in terms of New York City, the 5 boroughs having more property, even though they're paying less money, more property that will probably equate in terms of how much of that money is going into the educational system. So I don't think it's really a question of finances. I think it's more of being informed of how the money is being broken down in the system, and why is it that parents don't have a choice as to what curriculum would better suit their children.
So why is it so important for parents to know how funds are being allocated, what type of curriculum are being taught in schools? Why is it so important for parents to know that information?
It's important for them to know because back in the late 90s, they had a curriculum. I forgot the name of this curriculum. But for kindergarten children, they had them listing the bones of the body, right? And so with that, you have a child who is struggling to read and write. How is teaching them the bones of the body is going to help them learn how to read? And we all know that if the reading is affected, then the writing is affected. And more than likely math is affected because writing, becomes, reading and writing together, even though it's math. Now they have another curriculum called the core curriculum. And the core curriculum is based on algebraic expression. Here again, the children are not being taught the basis in order to be able to complete those problems. So they get stuck. If you're going to have these type of curriculums, then you definitely need more information. You need more training. You need more instructions to the parents so that they can, be able to help their children. So it's very important that parents know what their children are learning. How could they help them?
So is this an issue that's for public schools? Like, is it different in a charter school or a private school?
It's across the board. It's across the board. And, the assumption is, if I put my child in a charter school as opposed to a public school, they're getting a better education. That's not necessarily so, right? Because what is the value? Who is setting the value of this community, of this discourse community? For example, my grandson wanted to learn how to write poetry, and that was something that was offered, and no one was interested in writing poetry. So what will go into that slot? If the majority did not feel that they wanted to learn poetry, what are you going to put in that place? What is the value? What is the mission of those students in terms of what they want to learn? Because we are supposed to be culturally responsive to our children. And being culturally responsive to our children, we are sort of, whetting their palate so that they will be able to want to learn on their own. Because we can't teach them everything. The public schools can't teach everything. So you want to get them to the point where, whatever it is that they're interested in, they will be able to find it on their own. This is where the discourse community comes in. Making sure that the libraries are properly stocked, making sure that the libraries in school, have different.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Literature for them to learn. So it's all across the board to make sure that that student has everything that they need in order to learn.
So now that makes me wonder, this might be like a simple question, but should we pay more taxes? Because I know there was talk about like if school, I think it might be colleges, but for free college, we'll have to raise the taxes to pay for that. So in terms of having that discourse community, having parents involved more in education, if it's that, the more money we put up, the more the government or the powers that be will have to listen to us. Should we raise the taxes that we pay and that way we'll have more of a voice?
Right. But here again, it's not really the money, it's the voice, right? The money is already there. It's just that, in some point, how it's allocated makes the difference, the allocation of the money, because there's no one to say, this is what I want my child to learn, right? So yes, we can always use more money. That's not an issue, right? But for example, when I was teaching and the principal allowed us to go down in the basement, I thought I was going to lose my mind, because they had the basic books to help the children learn how to read, write, and do math. All the other things that was on the floor were it was too sophisticated for the children, because they are missing, the basic information. And one of the movements now is to have the 3K and the 4K, which is very helpful to help the child be prepared for kindergarten, because kindergarten is now the new first grade. When you go into kindergarten, you're no longer counting numbers and alphabets and colors and shapes. You're learning how to read and write. Once upon a time, kindergarten wasn't mandatory. Now it is, right? So from the beginning, you need someone to advocate for the children. So like in my 3K program, DOE gave me the curriculum. These are the topics we want you to teach, right? And as a daycare provider, I'm able to look at that and say, well, okay, I'm going to take this, but the majority of how I instruct set up my lesson plans is through the Montessori, because the Montessori is an educational experience that is conducted in a lot of upscale schools, that is proven that will help children become more in tune to math and science, right? So if evidence says that children really don't learn through reading, why are you teaching kids through reading? We need someone to advocate and say, okay, so if evidence-based practices say that children learn better through science and math, let's teach them through math and science, because that's what the Montessori model does. There's a whole, slew of things that in the Montessori curriculum that helps children become apt to learning math and sciences, and then the reading falls into place. So Discourse Community mission statement will say that we want our children to learn math and science first before reading. So that's the difference.
So now you brought up the PTA, right? So, I mean, it sounds like parents would have to take more in an initiative to...
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Be more involved in the way education is taught. So, as opposed to, I guess it's kind of given to them on the island, here in the city, it falls upon us. It falls upon parents to take more of an initiative. So what can parents do to take more an initiative? Should Jay just join the PTA? What can parents do to demand more involvement in the education?
This is why I was saying it's more than just joining the PTA, right? Because the PTA it's the beginning of a discourse community. So don't get me wrong, but the PTA is where you're trying to build a relationship between the parents and the teachers. Got it. The discourse community goes one step higher and builds that relationship with parents to the district and the superintendent, right? Because the superintendent and the district, they're the ones that make the decision as to what the curriculum is going to be inside the school. So with that being said, parents need to educate themselves more on education. And this is why I'm saying, you need professional people to really, advocate and say that this is the difference. These are your options. Because if you don't know, you don't know. So just like on the island, when you have, your discourse community with your doctors, lawyers, teachers, politicians, those entities need to be on the community discourse in the city as well, because they are the ones that are reading the journals. They are the ones that, have that interest in, what's the latest procedure or, whatever, is novel at that particular point. So, it's the implementation of really educating yourself. And so, we need to step up to the plate. Bottom line, we need to step up to the plate and educate parents who do not have a background in academia. Because it's not something that is based on your instinct. It's not something that you believe. When you're coming together and you're speaking as a group, you're saying that this is an evidence-based practice. Someone somewhere has done some type of research and this was the outcome, right? And you're not going to use communities of color and marginalized society to practice something that comes from the Midwest. No, we don't want that. We want something that is conducive to our children right here and right now. So on this level, you really have to rise above the Parent Teachers Association. That's one part of it, yes. But other different professionals have to step into the arena. Our politicians need to step into the arena. Doctors in the community need to step into the arena. Like one doctor told one of my parents that the child is hyperactive and that she should wait until he's 6 years old to have him evaluated. And I said, are you serious? If he's 3 years old now, he has the opportunity to get early intervention from 0 to 3. And if he does not rectify his issue, then they will pass him on to the next place. And then in 6th grade, you're talking about special education. He's going to be 2 years behind. If she waits until he is 6 years old, 9 times out of 10, because of the waiting list and it being free, he won't get tested until he's close to 7. So from 3 all the way up to 7, that's 4 years. Someone needs to advocate that. That doctor should have said, let's get him tested immediately. Let's do early intervention now while he has a chance. Our discourse community is all over the place.
So the more people that are involved in the educational system, the better. Like we were talking about doctors and lawyers, the superintendent, the district. So like the more types of people that are involved, the more involved we'll be.
In addition to the parents. So yes, to have that interdisciplinary team is good, but the parents have to be there to also advocate, to say, yes, I like that idea. No, I don't like that idea. But the parents themselves have to educate themselves, because you're not saying, well, I think or I feel, right? You're coming with evidence. So in other words, if my child is diagnosed with dyslexia, okay, you make sure as a special education provider in his IEP, you have services for him to get to help him with his dyslexia. You don't put him in a behavior class because he has a learning disability, right? So, it's the shuffling just to, put children, wherever just to keep it quiet or to make it seem like it's a well-oiled machine, when in actuality our children is coming up short, right? So to have, a team of interdisciplinary professionals and parents coming together, they're going to make sure that their children are getting what they need. Too many times a parent who does not have the educational background is coming up against a system that is going to cream them because they don't know. One of the things real quick that I didn't mention is echo mapping. And echo mapping is a representation of all the stakeholders that's involved in this child's life that come together to say that I'm interested in this child. That's the beginning of a discourse community, because with that being said, if one person can't make a meeting, then another person can make a meeting. And they're all advocating for this child based on a common value, right? Whereby the school is made aware that this is what this family wants for this child. If we do that across the board, it can change the educational system, because they will understand that they will not be able to come into our community and practice curriculums that have nothing to do with our children.
Very well said. All right, we are going to wind down now. So do you have any final advice for the people watching right now? Maybe there's a parent out there watching who wants to know how they can get more involved, or how they can contact their district or superintendent, or in general, or ways that we can improve the discourse community in the cities. What advice would you like to give?
The first advice that I would like to give is, number one, get to know the parents in your children's classroom. That's number one. And build a network. And inside that network, establish resources in the community, right? Everything that we need should be in our community. Find those resources and be able to educate, because once we share with each other, we learn about each other. Once you share about you, I learn about me. So building a network and reaching out to the resources in our community is the very beginning. And the second advice that I would give is it would really be very helpful if we can put our pride in our back pocket. We can't do this thing alone. We can't raise children by ourselves. We can't educate our children by ourselves. So if we are able to put our pride to the side and ask for help and listen, we will find that we're not the only ones that, is facing these issues, and that we can come together to build a solution to help our children.
Amazing. All right, Robin, thank you so much for today. And you guys, oh wait, I forgot your banner. All right. So you can find Robin Simpson online at www.rsimpsoncoaching.com. Currently, she's offering a special promotion for her coaching services, 12 sessions for half the price. So for those of you in the New York City area, she also has a daycare center in Queens and is accepting clients starting now. You can email her at simpsonrobin@ymail.com for more information. So Robin, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I will put you backstage now. And it's just you and me, guys. So we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out our YouTube channel for more videos and clips. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below. And furthermore, you could also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Eventbrite, and WhatsApp. So if you want to learn more about A Step Ahead Tutoring Services, you could find us online, www.astepAheadTutoringServices.com. So definitely check out our website if you want to learn more about our services, our workshops, or you want to learn who I am. Definitely go to our website and follow us on social media. We definitely will appreciate the support. And one last thing before I disappear. So we are also seeking financial contributions to our crowdfunding campaign on ifundwomen.com. Our unique link is scrolling below. So definitely check that out. And I am going to show you a video that will explain more about the campaign.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please consider donating to our crowdfunding campaign. No amount is too small. Your donation will allow us tutors to remain employed, offer free and low-cost services, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. We're a for-profit company. Your donation may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
And that's it for our episode today. Tune in next time to the next episode. Thank you for joining. Signing off. Bye.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.